The religious beliefs of Scorn civilization revolves around self-awareness, sight beyond the physical world, and consciousness. The spirituality and beliefs of this civilization closely resemble those of Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Sikhism, religions that believe in afterlife in a form of reincarnation, or in other words, the ascension of consciousness. Polis is a place built in the heart of Scorn's world on the highest point of Citadel, which is held in high regards as it's a place of aspiration and reverence. A temple-like place where philosophical ideas are depicted all over the walls and in the core of its architecture. One of the most important themes found in the game, which could easily be dismissed, is the presence of a third eye on the base of the skull of the inhabitants of Scorn, or at least what is beneath their worldly physical bodies. At first, you might consider this as irrelevant to the lore of Scorn, but soon you realize that this concept has been specifically placed in the game, as it's the pillar of Scorn civilization's core belief system and religious ideologies. Scorn is said to be a civilization who worships consciousness and its physical form, but not the form that the consciousness first finds itself in, or in other words, is trapped within. As a matter of fact, the civilization believes human body is completely disposable, hence why the inhabitants have gone through generations of experimentation and selective and artificial breeding to form them into specific shapes, used for recycling, energy, fuel, and other purposes. What Scorn heavily believes in is the freedom of consciousness and its ability to inhabit any physical form. The third eye is the core theme of belief that depicts perception beyond ordinary sight. In Indian spiritual tradition, there are 7 main chakra, which have the rough definition of wheel, which explains the energy points within the human body. The third eye is known as Ajna chakra, sorry if I'm destroying this word, which refers to the gate that leads to the inner realms and spaces of higher consciousness or ascended consciousness. To oversimplify something, the red dot you see on the forehead, typically in India, it relates to the third eye, the 6th chakra, known as Ajna, which is the seat of concealed wisdom, the higher consciousness, and the veiled realm. Within the meticulously designed walls of Polis, statues and murals of higher consciousness are depicted in beautiful detail, with another aspect of spirituality which I cannot show you, which revolves around lust and love. A big inspiration for designing the game and its religious beliefs was from the Greek gods of love and death, Eros and Thanatos. The statues depict in many points and corners of Polis how decomposing corpses are intertwined in different positions, depicting the spirituality of this civilization. Despite the obsession with death, the society in fact rejected the idea of it and the end of one's being after death. To be fair, it's not far off from our own belief systems, and despite so many different religions, all share one ideology, that death is not the end of one's existence and it's not permanent. Different religions and belief systems believe how the spirit of a human, their consciousness or essence or even energy, is not confined to the physical body and it will be freed after the physical form dies. Many believe you are reborn or reincarnated. Some believe you go to afterlife where you face the consequences of your actions in the world, which in a way relates to humans' need for accountability. Some believe you join the stars and the other cosmic bodies. Therefore, all believe in some sort of spirituality, rejecting the idea of end and absolute death. In Scorn, this idea is fully realized, however, as they have managed to create genderless shells who can be possessed by the physical form of consciousness. These shells are said to be hollow and fit in the physical form of consciousness like a tailor-made glove. The crypts in Polis, where the sarcophaguses of shells lie within, are designed in human head statues which all have a third eye, with some sort of fleshy material dripping through them. This is specifically designed as such to convey the idea that consciousness cannot be constrained to a simple humanoid body. The self or consciousness is far greater than the fragile vessel in which it is born in. Going back to the idea of love and death, the statues built all over the Polis don't necessarily convey the idea of birth, as Scorn civilization believes in rebirth or reincarnation and not limited to being born for the first time as a complete new entity. Their technology has even allowed them to synthesize human identities and give birth independent from 2 partners on a wall called the Genesis Wall. Therefore, the main idea behind the depiction of love is the fascination of the civilization with the sense of heightened levels of consciousness achieved in the physical form, where the essence of one is confined within. This also seems to be inspired by the Indian culture, where teachings of desire is related to spirituality, which you might be otherwise familiar with, also known as Kama Sutra. There's also a tunnel depicted in the art book, which I don't necessarily remember in the game, which is conveying the pilgrimage to the holy light, decorated with several statues. So in a few words, Scorn believes in heightened spirituality and freedom of consciousness. Now, let's talk about how Scorn has managed to fully realize this ideology and extract the consciousness and preserve it in tangible forms. One way the physical form of humans can experience heightened levels of spirituality and reach the concealed realm is through heightened senses achieved in activities I cannot discuss in depth. Another way is of course through death of the physical form, which the consciousness is trapped or born within. This of course is the belief in the religion of Scorn and major religions in the real world. Towards the end, many inhabitants are seen on wheels, resembling the Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, who go through a surgical procedure by a mechanical doctor. The book reveals that the nature of the surgery is, which again, I'm sorry, but I cannot show you. It seems as if another way of achieving heightened sense of spirituality and reaching the concealed realm is through pain, which is experienced at the end, and also why the protagonist removes a scalpel from the mechanical doctor, injuring his original body further. The shells which are synthesized do not need to be in humanoid shapes, have an identified gender, or even be of forms we are familiar with. In fact, the consciousness is not bound to a human shape at all. However, two of the shells the protagonist manages to inhabit in the game have humanoid shapes. The book branches out and diverts at this point from what we see in the game, which I'm going to discuss both of now and explain what might be going on. In the game, after reviving the shells, the protagonist's physical form is tethered to a mysterious material on the ceiling, which allows him to move into the shells. The shells grow a moving third eye from the hole on their forehead, which would provide space for the third eye to grow, which I think might be the physical form of consciousness. But this doesn't last long, as the protagonist doesn't seem to want to fully inhabit the shells, carrying his original injured body from the operating table, which creates some differences in the book. The book depicts how consciousness in fact has a physical form, a proto-creature with vibrant colors, revealing its heightened state, having a third eye which would be housed by a shell, with the third eye navigating the shell. The creature at first might represent Lovecraftian creatures like Cthulhu, but the game designer has specifically mentioned he did not want to represent any cosmic or deep-sea monster or deity. He simply wanted to represent a formless entity embodying the consciousness. This creature representing consciousness was not seen in the game, but its pictures were seen on the murals, depicting how this in fact is not just a scrapped idea, but maybe the protagonist did not want to fully go through this procedure and that's why he stopped it midway. His consciousness was not fully extracted, but using some homunculi, he managed to extract their consciousness and possess them, seemingly. I'll leave this idea for another video, which could take much longer to expand on. So let's just get back to the spirituality bit of Scorn. Going back to the idea of the third eye, its importance is revealed on how the consciousness of human body in fact has one, which it uses to navigate itself in the shell's body, which directly links to the idea of higher consciousness and breaking the boundaries of unseen world. The mechanical doctor, which performs the action of extracting the consciousness and inflicting pain on the participants, is designed in the shape of the main deity of Scorn's religious beliefs, a god that has 6 arms and represents the perfect shape of a physical form for the consciousness, presumably, so take that with a grain of salt, folks. This depiction only further reveals how Scorn took major inspiration from Indian religions, particularly Hinduism, with this deity resembling the god Vishnu, the god of preservation. Hinduism believes in reincarnation, and hence why Scorn's religion believes in reincarnation and rebirth, but in a much more attainable nature, where consciousness is extracted and transferred into a body. Vishnu himself has been incarnated several times, but he's believed to reincarnate reincarnate one last time to close the end of this world. But mainly, he's the preserver and protector of the universe. This inspiration has made up the religion of Scorn, who have designed a moving figure or robot in the shape of their deity, just like how people in real world design statues and idols in the shape of their gods, representing how this idol is the entity in charge for freeing the participants' consciousness and transfer them into a shell. This seems to be a sacred and pure ritual in Scorn spirituality, hence why this procedure takes place in the highest point of Citadel, the highly protected and preserved polis. Right, that brings us to the end of this video, folks. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below, and what are the topics you want me to explore in the upcoming videos for Scorn. If you enjoyed the video and you want to stay tuned for more, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. As always, it's been your host Star, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Take care.